of La Penta. It's WICR.
What's going on, Iona College? Antonio Coppola and Matt Brownstein back with you on this Thursday afternoon, a snowy afternoon. Matt, we got a lot to talk about. We haven't been able to discuss the Super Bowl. We're going to talk about some NBA action. The All-Star break is coming up. And maybe we'll get into a little bit of MLB, continue what we were discussing last week. But let's start off with the game. Everyone knows about the call. Pete Carroll choosing to throw the ball from the half-yard line when he's got the best running back in the league, Marshawn Lynch, leading to the interception that ended up sealing the game. Heard around the world. Matt, this was probably the dumbest play call I have ever seen, not only in a Super Bowl, but in any NFL game. I don't understand. Jermaine Kearse makes that ridiculous catch, which honestly I couldn't believe it when he bobbled. He got the ball on the bobble and ended up corralling it, bringing it in. Marshawn Lynch runs the ball from the 5-yard line to the half-yard line. There's about 40 seconds left on the clock, and you're thinking, oh, my God, Seattle's going to win this game.
Momentum was on their side.
Yeah, I know you took the Patriots in this game, so what were you thinking when once Kearse made that catch? You must have been,
Well, when I saw Kearse make that catch, it reminded me of the David Tyree, Mario Manningham catches against the Giants' losses in Super Bowls of the past. So to have that on Tom Brady's resume would have killed him, I thought. I mean, he still would have had 3 Super Bowls, obviously, but he was going for that elusive fourth, to tie Montana, to tie Bradshaw. When Kearse made that circus catch, I felt the whole momentum was going to be on the Seahawks side, and you just felt that the Seahawks, basically had a lot of luck on their side. Even in the the Green Bay Packers game,
right.
2 weeks before that, they really just were riding the momentum, and everything was against the Patriots. I mean, you had the whole Deflate Gate, and they were the villains. You wanted the Seahawks to win. I wanted the Seahawks to win, but
right.
I just knew that the Patriots were going to somehow pull it off. And honestly, some people say, well, the Seahawks, gave it to the Patriots. The Patriots didn't necessarily win, but listen, they still scored 28 points, so they did win.
Right.
But absolutely, that play at the very end with that pickup from Butler, huge play in that game.
Yeah, what a play that kid made. He was an undrafted free agent. He went from getting kicked off his community college team. He went and played at I believe Western Alabama, Division II, went undrafted, and somehow made the Patriots practice squad. And then look, he makes the play of the game. But I want to talk about a little bit about the Seahawks. Everyone was talking about their elite defense. They've got this, they're comparing them to the '85 Bears and maybe the Ravens of 2000, which I thought was a little bit ridiculous. I've always thought they were overrated. I always thought that Richard...
In terms of defense?
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought, everyone says Richard Sherman is the best corner in the league. I still think it's Revis.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I think he's just a better all-around player. I think Sherman's more of...
I think Sherman's a better talker.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I can't stand his antics, but aside from that, he's playing next to Earl Thomas and Cam Chancellor, arguably the 2 best safeties in the league. He's part of a unit that's, very cohesive. They play together. Darrelle Revis, you put him on the field, and, he's following around the best receiver. He plays by himself. That's how he got the moniker Revis Island.
Right.
But that Seattle secondary, I don't know. Seattle had this 10-point lead going on in the fourth quarter, and Tom Brady just goes down the field. One drive, he went 8 for 8 for, I believe, 60 yards and the touchdown to Edelman, like it was nothing.
Yep, absolutely. There was a couple drives in the game. You had the Gronkowski drive, you had the Edelman drive, where Brady looked like,
Brady.
Classic Tom Brady of, the last 5 years. Absolutely. And, he's one of the best pure passers in the game. The Seattle defense, had it going on for spurts. They had man-to-man coverage, and that seemed to be working for, parts of the game, but then they kind of went away from that more zone coverage.
Right.
And that hurt them, But going into the half, when Russell Wilson led that drive and tied the game up. And
that was unbelievable.
Now you're back 14-14. It's anybody's game. I mean, that really was a terrific half and a terrific game. I mean, and the Patriots not to score at all in the first quarter, and going into the half when you're basically back at 0-0, starting off fresh for both teams, it was anybody's game at that point. And I felt like whoever was going to score the first touchdown was going to win the game going into the third quarter. I thought that was going to be the momentum shift, and there was a lot of Seahawks fans in that stadium. It was a lot of...
They travel very well.
They do travel very well, and having that momentum is also a game changer too, and also having kind of the villain look for the Patriots. Obviously, the last 2 weeks to that whole Deflategate nonsense. But you know what? You give them credit. They owned up to it. Well, they didn't really own up to it, but they kind of took it on the chin, and they just played their game, and nothing really kind of got in their way. They just kept going and playing the game, and obviously the turnout was a little bit of luck. Well, a lot of bit of luck obviously for them. You could see Brady's reaction when that pickoff happened.
He was jumping up and down like a little girl.
He was. But listen, he still had a good game. I mean, you know what funny thing was though, I was listening to I think it was Francesa, and somebody called in and said, if Brady and the Patriots had lost that game, we would have been on Brady for those 2 picks. He had 4 touchdowns, but he also had those 2 picks.
Right, that's another thing. The 2 picks, the way they started out that game, I was thinking immediately back to last year when Peyton Manning, the first play of the game, they end up with the safety, and Seattle just took it from there.
Good point. Yep.
Blew them out. When Brady threw that pick on the first drive, he went right down the field, threw that pick at the goal line. I was thinking, oh my gosh, Seattle's going to win this game. They're just going to explode from here. They're going to just pour it on.
And it's going to be a long game for Brady after that.
Exactly, yeah. And it was actually a strange game for the Patriots because I've never really seen them struggle with consistency as much. They're either, on really good, or either, bad. It's either good or bad. Like that Kansas City game back early in the season, they were awful, and then from there on out, they just tore apart the league. But no, when Brady threw those 2 picks, and then every time, especially in the third quarter, every time Seattle was moving the ball, they would get a touchdown, a field goal. The Patriots would come out, they would go 3 and out, and I was just thinking, the clock is ticking. Like Brady's got to make something happen, and that's what he did in the fourth quarter. They went 2 unanswered touchdowns. He executed those 2 drives and brought them down the field, and like you said, they had a lot of luck in the end, and that's how they won the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you know what? So did the Seahawks. I mean that curse catch. I mean, regardless that they lost, is going to be replayed over and over again as one of the greatest catches in Super Bowl history.
Mm-hmm.
That was a lot. I mean, if he doesn't make that play, and then you have a minute and 30 left, and you're still, he's still 50, 60 yards away.
Right.
That what are the odds that Russell Wilson's going to lead up, the charge down with that much time left? So really, that circus catch by Curse. And the funny thing was, when Curse made that catch, I think he was so stunned by it, he actually had time to get up and move a couple more yards if he wanted to. But that, I thought, was just going to be the game changer right there and the momentum shifter. And, unfortunately it wasn't. I mean, obviously you had the 4.5 yard run by Lynch, by Beast Mode. I don't know if you heard this, Antonio, but a couple people were saying the reason why Carroll didn't run, a run play for Lynch was because he didn't want Lynch to be the star of the game. Because if Lynch scored that touchdown, he already had, 102 yards, 24 carries that game. He probably would have been the MVP.
Right.
I don't buy that because, listen, when you're playing the biggest game of the year, you could be the biggest villain. I don't care. If you're going to win me a Super Bowl, I don't care who you are. You're going to win it for me. And we all know Russell Wilson's the poster boy for that team, and he's a good guy all around, and he's a sponsor now and a spokesperson. But to say that because that they didn't want Lynch to have the ball at the end of the game because of all his antics with the Super Bowl media and all that, I don't buy that for a second. Do you?
No, not at all. People like to speculate, after the game. I thought it was funny what Pete Carroll said. He said he wanted to waste it down, and I was thinking, you can't wait. You have 3 down. It was second down when that play when the interception happened. How can you waste it down? He ran the clock down to 20 seconds. He obviously had 3 downs left. They had 3 downs to score, and he was saying, "Oh, I wanted to waste it down," and because he
On the
figured
1 yard line?
Yeah, he figured you couldn't run the ball 3 times because they only had 1 timeout. They would have ran out of time. And I was just thinking, how can you say that you're going to waste it down? It just made no sense to me. And that, like, now Pete Carroll, he can't sleep at night. The team is probably, still in shock. I would, as a Seahawk, if I were a Seahawks fan, I would be, just in shock. I wouldn't be able to sleep at night, let alone the players, the coaches, anyone. And it's going to be strange to see next season how these 2 teams bounce back. Brady's coming. I think he's going to be 38 next season. The Seahawks are a young team. They've got a lot of free agents.
A lot of decisions to make on the
yeah.
team.
Well, who do you think's got a brighter future next season?
Man, it depends on who Seattle wants to stay, who wants, who's going to go. I mean, he's still a very good, obviously one of the best defenses in the league with Seattle, a younger team, a younger quarterback.
Right.
But listen, I mean, from scouts and evaluators talking, they still see Brady as a viable quarterback for the next 3 to 4 seasons. So, I think it also depends where Revis decides to go. There's talk that he wants to come back either to the Jets or stay with the Patriots if they pick up his option. That's an interesting, dynamic. Obviously you still have Gronkowski on that team, but tough. I mean, if you do you want to go youth, if you go youth, you're gonna go Seattle. But if you want that stability, if you want that gunslinger quarterback, I mean, you have to go Patriots now, and especially
Yeah.
in a easier league, I think too, in a division the Patriots are in. I mean, I think it depends on how much better the Dolphins get, how much better the Jets get. It should be a very easy ride for the Patriots once again. They'll probably make a move here or there to help bolster maybe the wide receiving core, defensive abilities, that kind of stuff. But I have to go New England.
Yeah, I would go New England too, just based on Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. Belichick clearly outcoached Pete Carroll in that game. And then the other aspect is that a lot of Seahawks players are looking to get paid. Marshawn Lynch is due $5 million. That's not going to cut it for him. He's been in contract discussions with the team for, I've heard, a few weeks now, beginning back in the middle of the season. They got Russell Wilson needs to get paid, and then I'm looking at this list right here of their free agents next year. Byron Maxwell, one of their best corners. Jermaine Kearse, wide receiver. Ricardo Lockett, another receiver. Let's see.
Yeah, they got a lot of decisions to make on this upcoming
A lot,
offseason.
yeah, and these are big names. Malcolm Smith is another guy. He was a Super Bowl MVP last year. These guys want to get paid. They're making some of these guys are due under $1 million without their roster bonus, and that's just not going to cut it.
But maybe there's some team loyalty to add as well because these. I mean, listen, Seattle has been back to back Super Bowls, which is fantastic. I mean, it's something to hang your head about. Seattle fans should be ecstatic for that. I mean, they obviously were 1-2 in the Super Bowl. Obviously, this one's going to be a killer crush because of how it ended. But, if I'm a Seahawk right now, would I take a little bit of a pay cut to stay with a team that, is destined to be, a perennial contender for years to come? I might, but a lot of these guys, in the league are very egotistical and they're all about themselves and their own brand. I could definitely see Lynch being that kind of guy.
Yeah.
He's the, quintessential brand ambassador. But maybe some guys will stay. Maybe some guys will get, some team-friendly contracts and be loyal to the team that, has back-to-back Super Bowls is a tough feat to do.
Yeah, that's another thing. They get so close to making history, to repeating. They would have been the first team to repeat since the Patriots 10 years ago. But, when you make it that close and you lose on a call like that is solely, I at least in my opinion, it's solely based on coaching. That was a coaching mistake. And you go back. I just can't imagine what the feeling was like in that locker room when they walked off the field. I just can't. And it's hard for me to imagine that they're gonna get back to that same spot a third year in a row. That's almost impossible. I don't think anyone's done that since the Bills did that when they had Jim Kelly. They made those 4 straight Super Bowls and didn't even win one.
Didn't win, yeah.
So it's gonna be interesting to see. Definitely a lot's gonna go on in free agency and up to the draft in the upcoming months. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, even Dan Quinn at his press conference for the Falcons, he was asked about it, and he said that's a coach's decision, so that comes down to Carroll, and that was all on Carroll. I mean, Carroll did take somewhat of the blame, in his answer. It still was kind of preposterous as to why he called that play, and if he didn't want to run it for Lynch, why not have Russell Wilson run it in? I mean, Wilson's so athletic, and he's a
Right.
great
Not only
runner.
that,
Why not do it?
and on the other side of it, if you're gonna throw the ball there, why is Russell Wilson in shotgun, and why don't you play fake? Why don't you play action and
Exactly.
Marshawn Lynch to at least draw the defense, get them,
You're showing
to
pass.
stop for a second. Yeah, you're showing pass the whole way. Exactly. They said, oh, the Pats had their goal line in with 3 corners, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter. I don't care if Seattle or if New England puts in 11 linemen. You run the ball with Marshawn Lynch. He's gonna get you that yard. That's the bottom line.
Although somebody brought up too, and I listen to. I mean, I know you do too. Listen to a lot of ESPN Radio or WFAN. It's another caller brought up an idea that Lynch, I believe it was last year against the 49ers, wasn't able to get that one yard for a touchdown, and they're wondering if that somehow reminisces in Carroll's mind because of that. And you can't. I mean, a year later, that's a whole different ball game. I mean, is that fair to say, or would that be something that would kind of ruminate in your head?
No, absolutely. To me, you're making up excuses at that point. It's easy to look in hindsight and say, oh, well, he did this because last year the numbers say this or whatever. Like, the bottom line is you get a feel for the game. Marshawn Lynch, the play before it from the 5-yard line, ran 4.5 yards.
Almost made it in.
To me, it's baffling. Anyways, you want to take a break and do some NBA?
Yeah, let's take a quick break and we'll come back and talk a little bit NBA and another big night for Steph Curry.